The first time my mom said the word abandoned, she didn't yell it. She whispered it, like it was a prayer or a curse. It was move-in day. The sky was that dull, washed-out gray you get in early fall. Not raining, not sunny, just heavy. A man in a navy polo stood by the front doors of Maple Crest Assisted Living, clipboard in hand, smiling too brightly for a day like this. Behind him, a cart waited, a place for boxes, a place for my parents' life to go. My dad stood in the driveway beside my car, hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets, jaw clenched so hard I could see it working. My mom held her purse like it was a shield. She didn't look at the building. She looked at me, and then she said it. So this is it. A small breath. A tiny shake of her head. You're leaving us here. I tried to keep my voice steady. Mom, it's not like that. She laughed short, brittle. It's exactly like that. My phone buzzed in my back pocket. I didn't even have to look to know who it was. Our family group chat was already on fire. What do you mean they're moving today? Aaron, please tell me you're not actually doing this. This is basically a nursing home. You can't just dump them. That's cruel. The word dump hit harder than it should have. Like they were talking about trash. Not my parents. Not my life. Not the last 12 months of emergency room visits, missed work, and 2 a.m. calls. My mom stepped closer. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was sharp. Do you know what people call this? She asked. Putting your parents away. Mom, I started. She cut me off, shaking her head, lips trembling. I raised you, she said, and her voice cracked on the last word. I stayed up nights with you. I worked double shifts. I did everything, and you're going to leave me with strangers. My dad finally spoke, low and dangerous. You didn't even ask, he said. I stared at him. My mouth opened. And then I realized he was right. I hadn't asked. Not really. Because every time I tried, the answer was always the same. No. 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 No help. No nurses. No home care. No safety rails. No outsiders. No home. Just me. Always me. I swallowed the lump in my throat, and my phone buzzed again. If you do this, don't expect me to forgive you. This is abandonment. You know that, right? My mom watched my face. She saw the phone, she saw the panic, and she leaned in like she knew exactly where to press. You hear them? She said softly. Even your brother and sister know what kind of daughter you are. My stomach twisted, because that's how it works with families. The people who show up the least are often the loudest. I took one slow breath, then another, and I said the sentence I'd been terrified to say out loud. Mom, you can't go back home. My mom blinked like I'd slapped her. My dad's eyes narrowed. What did you just say? I felt my throat burn. You can't, I repeated. It isn't safe. Not anymore. My mom's voice dropped into something cold. So you're choosing a building over your own parents. I shook my head, but my body betrayed me. My hands were shaking. I'm choosing you, I said. I'm choosing you being alive. My dad stepped forward, face flushed. If I die at home, I die at home, he snapped. That's my right. And then my mom said it again, this time louder. You're abandoning us. Heads turned in the lobby. The man with the clipboard froze. A woman at the front desk stopped typing. My cheeks burned, and in that split second, standing in front of those doors, with my parents on one side and my siblings on the other, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about assisted living. This was about who my parents thought I owed my life to, and whether I was allowed to say no. Chapter 2, the promise I didn't know I made. A year earlier, I would have told you this would never happen. My parents were the kind of people who said things like, we're not going to be a burden. We'll die in our own house. Don't ever put us in one of those places. They said it casually over dinner, over holiday pie, while watching commercials for stair lifts. It was always half joke, half threat. And I always laughed because it was easier than hearing the fear underneath. My dad, Frank, was the tough one. 73, retired union electrician, hands like sandpaper, voice like a gravel road. He'd been independent his whole life, proud of it, built his identity on it. My mom, Linda, was softer, at least on the surface. 71, former school secretary, the kind of woman who remembered birthdays and made casseroles when someone in the neighborhood got sick, but she had her own kind of steel, the kind that smiles while it guilts you into obedience. When things started slipping, it was small. Dad forgot appointments. Mom mixed up her medications just once, then twice. They both insisted it was normal aging. Then the first real scare happened on a Tuesday afternoon. I got a call from a neighbor. "Aaron, I didn't want to bother you," she said, voice hesitant, "but your dad's been outside for a while, and he keeps checking the mailbox, like he's waiting for something." I drove over, heart pounding, and found him standing in the driveway, shoes on the wrong feet, staring at the street like it had offended him. "Dad," I said gently, "what are you doing?" He blinked at me, confused for a second. Then his face hardened. "Just getting the mail," he snapped. There was no mail, no keys in his pocket, no wallet. My mom appeared behind him, smiling too brightly. "He's fine," she said quickly. "He just didn't sleep well." I wanted to believe her. I did believe her until 2 weeks later, when Mom called me at 1:11 a.m. I'll never forget her voice. Not screaming, not crying, just thin. "He fell," she whispered, "in the bathroom." I drove there in pajamas, barefoot and flip-flops, and found Dad on the tile floor, furious and humiliated. Mom was kneeling beside him, hands shaking. "I told him to let me call you," she said. "He refused. He said," Dad cut in, teeth clenched, "I'm fine." He wasn't fine. He had a bruise on his elbow the size of a baseball. His ankle was swelling, and when I suggested urgent care, he glared at me like I had insulted him. "We're not doing that," he said. Mom looked at me over his shoulder, eyes begging, and I remember thinking, this isn't independence. This is denial with a backbone. I started offering help, home health, a cleaner twice a month, a meal delivery, a medical alert button. Dad said no to everything. Mom said no too, but differently. She'd smile and say, "Oh, honey, we'll manage." Then she'd call me the next week in a panic because she couldn't get Dad into the shower safely. And I would come every time, because somewhere along the way, without realizing it, I'd made a promise, not out loud, not formally, but the kind you make in your bones. I promised I would keep them safe. And then one day, keeping them safe started to look like the very thing they feared. Chapter 3, this is a nursing home. After Dad's second fall, their doctor stopped being gentle. Dr. Patel sat across from my parents, hands folded, voice calm in that practiced way doctors have when they're about to say something that will change everything. "Frank," he said, "you're at high risk for another fall." Dad crossed his arms. "So what?" Dr. Patel didn't flinch. "So the next fall could break a hip," he said, "and the fall after that could be worse." Mom's mouth tightened. "Are you saying he can't live at home?" "I'm saying," Dr. Patel replied, "that living at home without support is unsafe." Dad leaned forward. "Support," he repeated like it tasted bad. "You mean strangers in my house?" Dr. Patel nodded once. "Or," he said, "an assisted living community." My mom's face went pale. "No," she said immediately. Dad laughed hard, angry. "That's a nursing home," he said. Dr. Patel sighed. "Assisted living is not the same as a skilled nursing facility," he said. "But the bigger issue is your home has stairs, clutter, and a bathroom you can't safely use." Mom's eyes flicked to me. Like I'd arranged this, like I'd bribed the doctor. "You're trying to scare us," she said quietly. Dr. Patel's expression softened. I'm trying to keep you alive, he said. Dad stood up too quickly, then swayed just slightly. He caught himself. My heart stopped. Dad's cheeks flushed with rage at his own body. We're done here, he snapped. Come on, Linda. My mom grabbed her purse and stood, but before she left, she looked back at me. Her eyes were sharp, and there it was again, like a needle under the skin. You're not really thinking about this, she said. It wasn't a question. It was a warning. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a laptop open, a notepad full of numbers, and a half-cold cup of tea. I searched. Assisted living near me. Cost of assisted living. Aging parents refusing help. How to keep parents safe at home. The internet gave me 1,000 answers. None of them came with a map for guilt. 2 days later, my brother Matt called. He didn't ask how Dad was. He asked a different question. Mom said you're trying to put them in a home, he said. His voice was half accusation, half disbelief. I'm trying to keep Dad from breaking his neck, I said. Matt sighed like I was being dramatic. You know how they are, he said. They just need a little help. Don't make it a whole thing. A little help? I repeated. Matt, I'm there 4 times a week. Well, he said, casual, maybe you go too much. Maybe you're making them dependent. I stared at the wall, stunned. The audacity of it almost made me laugh. You live in Austin, I said. You visit twice a year. Matt's voice sharpened. And that's exactly why you shouldn't make decisions like this alone, he said. You're too close to it. Too close. Like being there was a bias. Like showing up was a flaw. After we hung up, my sister Chloe texted. Mom's really upset. She thinks you're trying to get rid of them. Please don't do anything drastic. Drastic, like safety was betrayal. I should have stopped right then. I should have backed off. But then, the incident happened. The one that made maybe impossible. It was a Saturday. I arrived at their house and smelled smoke. Not a lot. Just enough to make your brain ring an alarm. I ran into the kitchen and found a pan on the stove, blackened, still warm. Dad was in the living room, watching TV. Mom was standing in the doorway, hands clasped, eyes wide like a kid caught doing something wrong. We're fine, Dad said. Dad, I whispered. The stove. I said, we're fine. Mom's voice trembled. I forgot, she admitted. Dad snapped at her. Don't tell her that. And in that moment, watching them protect their pride more than their safety, I realized they weren't refusing help because they didn't need it. They were refusing help because they believed needing it meant losing themselves. Chapter 4, the family meeting and the trial. I booked a tour at Maplecrest without telling them. Not because I wanted to trick them, because I wanted information before my parents could shut the door on it. Maplecrest wasn't fancy. No chandeliers, no marble floors, just clean hallways, soft light, a garden with benches, and a smell like laundry and coffee. A place where people still looked like people. The director, Miss Reynolds, no relation, showed me a studio apartment. Small but bright. Kitchenette. A bathroom with rails that didn't look like a hospital. There was a dining room with real plates. A little library. A game night schedule on the wall. And staff who looked you in the eye. When I drove home, I told myself, this isn't abandonment. This is support. Then I brought my parents. I framed it carefully. Just a tour, I said. No decisions, just information. My dad didn't even get out of the car at first. My mom held the door handle like she might bolt. Inside, Dad walked slowly, eyes scanning like a detective looking for proof it was terrible. My mom smiled too much at staff. The director talked about options, medication management, meals, transportation, daily check-ins. My dad's mouth tightened at every sentence. When we stepped into the apartment, my mom's face changed. It was quiet, not angry, something else. Like she could see a future she didn't want. This is where people go to die, she whispered. The director's smile softened. Some people come here because they need more help, she said. But many come here to live with less stress. My dad snorted. That's what you tell people so their kids feel better, he said. The director didn't flinch. No, she said gently. It's what I tell people because I've watched it happen. My dad turned to me. His eyes were hard. Let's go. Back in the car, my mom stared out the window. Dad drove too fast. When we got home, Dad slammed the door behind him. Mom stood in the kitchen, hands shaking. You embarrassed us, she said. I blinked. Embarrassed you? You made us look weak, she whispered. My throat tightened. I'm trying to help. My mom's eyes flashed. No, she said. You're trying to control us. That night, the group chat exploded. Mom's crying. What did you do? Aaron, you can't force this. This is abandonment. You're acting like their parent. I stared at my phone so long my eyes hurt. Then I did something new. I didn't defend myself. I sent one message. If you think there's a better plan, tell me what it is. And when you're going to do it. Silence. 10 minutes later. I'll fly in next weekend. We'll talk. And that was how the family meeting got scheduled. Matt flew in with the energy of a man coming to fix things. Chloe joined on FaceTime, crisp and confident from her Seattle apartment. My parents sat on the couch like judges. Matt opened with a sigh. Okay, he said, let's not overreact. They just need support. Dad nodded. Mom dabbed her eyes. Matt looked at me like I was the dramatic one. Aaron, he said, you're stressed. I get it, but you can't just move them into assisted living. I took a breath. Fine, I said. What's your plan? Matt leaned back. Well, he said, you can check on them less. I stared. That's your plan? I asked. Chloe cut in, voice smooth through the phone. Maybe hire someone, she said, a caregiver. Dad's face hardened. No strangers, he said. Matt shrugged. Then maybe you, he looked at me, just do less. Let them be adults. My mom nodded, like that sounded reasonable. And in that moment, I felt something inside me snap. Not anger. Clarity? Okay, I said slowly. You want me to do less? I pulled out my phone, opened my calendar, and I started reading. Monday, Dad's cardiology appointment. I took off work. Tuesday, Mom called because she couldn't get Dad out of the shower. Wednesday, pharmacy run because Mom forgot to refill meds. Thursday, Dad fell in the driveway. I came. Friday, grocery shopping. Saturday, stove incident. Matt's face shifted. Chloe's mouth tightened on the screen. I continued, voice steady. You're right, I said. I'm stressed. Then I looked at my parents. And you're right, I said. You're adults. I swallowed. So starting today, I'm not doing this alone anymore. The room went quiet. My mom's eyes widened. Dad's jaw clenched. Matt blinked. What are you saying? He asked. I'm saying, I replied, either we share the work or we share the consequences. Dad scoffed. You're threatening us. No, I said, I'm telling the truth. And then I offered the only compromise I had left. A 30-day trial, I said, at assisted living. Mom inhaled sharply. Dad started to stand. Absolutely not. I cut in, voice trembling but firm. Dad, you fell twice. Mom forgot the stove. This isn't pride anymore. It's danger. My mom whispered, broken. So you really are putting us away. I felt my eyes burn. I'm trying, I said softly, to keep you from becoming a headline. Matt's voice turned sharp. Aaron, he warned, don't guilt them. I laughed one short breath. You think I'm the one guilting people? I asked quietly. And that's when my mom did what she always did when she was losing. She turned the whole room toward me. If you move us, she said, voice shaking, I'll never forgive you. Matt nodded like that ended the discussion. Chloe looked pained. And my dad, silent, stared at the floor. Then he said something I didn't expect. Something small. Something honest. "I don't want to be told when to eat," he muttered. I froze. That was it. Not "I want my home." Not "I don't need help." Just fear of losing choice. I leaned forward, gentle. "You won't," I said. "Not there. You choose. You just won't be alone." Dad didn't answer, but his hand trembled on his knee. And I knew we weren't arguing about buildings. We were arguing about the last bit of control they had left. Chapter 5, The Day Everything Broke. Climax. 2 nights after the family meeting, I was making dinner when my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, and a woman's calm voice said, "Is this Aaron Collins?" "Yes." "This is Monica, the social worker at County Medical. Your father is in the emergency department." My fork clattered against the plate. "What happened?" "He was brought in by ambulance after a fall," she said. "Your mother called 911. I didn't even remember grabbing my keys. I drove there on autopilot, hands white on the steering wheel, heart pounding like a drum. At the hospital, my mom sat in a plastic chair, face pale, hands clenched. My dad was behind a curtain. My mom looked up when she saw me. And for the first time in months, she didn't look angry. She looked terrified. "He wouldn't let me help," she whispered. "He tried to stand up himself." My throat tightened. "He fell again?" I asked. She nodded, eyes filling. And then, her voice shook. "He couldn't get up." A nurse pulled me aside. "Your dad has a fractured wrist," she said, "and his blood pressure was dangerously high when he came in." I stared at the nurse, numb. "How long was he on the ground?" My mom's voice came from behind me, thin. "Long enough," she whispered. I stepped into Dad's curtain bay. He lay in the bed, wrists wrapped, face gray with exhaustion. His eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. When he saw me, his expression tightened pride, pulling itself up like armor. "You happy now?" he rasped. My stomach twisted. "No," I whispered. "I'm scared." His eyes flickered. Then he turned his head away. Like my fear was worse than his pain. A doctor came in older, firm. "Frank," he said, "you cannot go home tonight." Dad's head snapped. "Yes, I can." The doctor didn't blink. "No," he said, "you can't." Dad's voice rose. "You can't keep me here." The doctor's tone stayed calm. "We can," he said, "and we will, if you're unsafe." Dad's jaw clenched. "This is America," he snapped. "I can make my own choices." The doctor nodded. "You can," he said, "but choices come with responsibility. Right now, going home without support is not responsible." My mom started to cry silently. And then Matt walked in. He'd flown back early. Apparently, my mom had called him first. He looked at me like I'd caused the fall by thinking about assisted living too hard. "What did you do?" he demanded. I stared at him. "What did I do?" I repeated, voice low. Matt pointed at Dad. "He's in the ER," he snapped, "because you stressed them out. You're pushing this. You're making them anxious." I felt something go still inside me. Not rage, just stillness. I turned to the social worker, Monica, who stood near the door. "Can you tell my brother," I said, calm, "what you told me on the phone?" Monica nodded. "Mr. Collins is considered a high fall risk," she said. "The medical team does not recommend discharge to an unsupervised home environment." Matt blinked. "But," Monica continued, gently but firmly, "if the family refuses a safe discharge plan," she said, "the hospital may need to involve additional resources." Matt frowned. "What resources?" Monica held his gaze. "Adult Protective Services," she said plainly, "because discharging someone into a known unsafe situation can be neglect." The word neglect landed like a slap. My mom's sob caught. Dad's face went rigid. Matt's mouth opened, then closed. For the first time, reality walked into the room and sat down. Dad's voice was quiet now, but sharp. "So, "You're going to call the government on me," he said, disgusted. Monica shook her head. "No," she said, "we're going to keep you safe. That's our job." Dad laughed bitter. "Safe," he repeated. "You people think safe is living in a box." I leaned forward, voice soft. "Dad," I said, "safe is not lying on the floor while Mom cries and can't lift you." Dad's eyes flashed. For a second, he looked like he might say something cruel. Then his eyes filled just barely, and he looked away like he hated himself for it. My mom whispered, barely audible, "I can't do this anymore." Everyone froze. My mom's voice shook. "I can't lift him," she said. "I can't sleep. I keep listening for him to fall. I'm scared to close my eyes." Matt stared at her like he'd never seen her as a person with limits. Chloe appeared on FaceTime. Matt had called her. Her face filled his screen, pale. "Mom," Chloe said, voice cracking, "why didn't you tell us it was this bad?" My mom laughed through tears. "I did," she whispered, "but you weren't here." Silence. "Thick, ugly, honest," Dad whispered almost to himself. "I don't want to be a burden." My mom shook her head hard. "You're not a burden," she said. "You're my husband." Then her voice dropped into something raw. "But I'm drowning." And there it was. The real climax. Not the fall. Not the ER. Not the group chat. The truth that my mom had been carrying alone while we argued about pride. Monica stepped forward. "We can arrange a short-term rehab stay," she said, "or assisted living, but we need a plan." Dad stared at the ceiling. Matt stared at the floor. Chloe's face on the screen looked shaken, finally seeing what distance had protected her from. And me? I felt my throat burn, because all I could think was, we should have gotten here without another fall. But that's the thing about denial. It always charges interest. Chapter 6, You Didn't Abandon Us. Resolution. It didn't end with one magical agreement. Families like ours don't do magical. We do messy. Dad went to short-term rehab first. He hated it. He complained about the food, the schedules, the way staff knocked before entering like he was a guest in his own life. But he did therapy, because the alternative was worse. I visited every other day. Matt stayed 1 week, then flew back to Austin with promises he made too quickly. Chloe ordered a meal subscription and called it help, and I didn't fight her on it because I was too tired to fight. After 3 weeks, Monica called again. "Frank is discharge ready," she said, "but he needs support. You need to decide." We held another family meeting, this time without pretending. This time, Mom looked older. Not in years. In weight. Dad sat quieter. Matt didn't accuse first. Chloe didn't offer solutions from a screen like they were easy. I opened with the only thing that mattered. "Dad," I said, "I won't move you without your voice. But you don't get to make Mom drown." Dad's jaw flexed. Mom stared at her hands. Matt swallowed. Chloe whispered, "Please." Dad sat silent for a long time. Then he said, rough, "I don't want people telling me when to eat." I nodded. "Maple Crest doesn't do that," I said. "You choose." "I don't want to share a room," he added. "You won't," I said. "You'll have your own apartment." "I don't want to sell the house," Mom whispered. I took a breath. "Then we won't," I said. "Not yet." Matt blinked. "You can't afford both," he said automatically. I looked at him. "Then we share," I replied. Chloe's eyes widened on the screen. "You mean money?" "Yes," I said, "and time, and responsibility." Matt started to protest, but I cut him off. Calm. "I have every receipt," I said. "Every day off work, every ER visit. If we're going to talk about abandonment, we're going to talk about the truth." Silence. Matt's shoulders dropped. Chloe's mouth trembled. And then Mom says something I will never forget. "My daughter didn't abandon me," she whispered. Everyone looked at her. Mom's eyes were wet. "She stayed," she said. "She stayed so much, she disappeared." My throat tightened. Dad's face changed just a flicker, like a crack in the wall. Mom reached across the table and took Dad's hand. "I'm scared," she admitted, "but I'm more scared of finding you on the floor again. I'm more scared of not being able to help you." Dad swallowed. His voice came out low. "I'm scared too," he said. He looked at me then, really looked. Not like a judge, like a father. "I thought," he said slowly, "that if I agreed to this, it meant I failed." My eyes burned. "It means you're adapting," I whispered. "It means you want to be here longer." Dad stared at the table. Then he nodded once. Small, stubborn, brave. 30 days, he said. Trial. Mom exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a year. So we did it. We moved them into Maple Crest. Not like prisoners, like people. We brought Dad's recliner, Mom's photo albums, their coffee maker, the old quilt my mom refused to throw out. The first week, Dad sulked. The second week, he started joining the breakfast table because he liked arguing about baseball with another man who also refused to admit he needed help. Mom found a walking group. She called me one afternoon and said, "Surprised? They have a garden club." Her voice sounded lighter. Not because everything was perfect, because she wasn't alone. One evening, I visited after work. Dad was sitting in his recliner, TV on. Mom was at the little table, writing in a notebook. Dad looked up at me. His eyes were softer. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I replied. I waited for the criticism. It didn't come. Instead, Dad said something I didn't expect. "Your brother told me he thought you were pushing us out." My stomach tightened. Dad held my gaze. "And he was wrong," Dad said. I froze. Dad cleared his throat, like words were hard. "You didn't abandon us," he said. "You forced us to face something." My eyes burned. Mom looked up, smiling through tears. Dad looked away quickly, like he hated emotions. Then he muttered, almost angry, "Still don't love it." I laughed, shaky. "I know." Dad nodded once. "But," he added, quieter, "your mom's sleeping again." I swallowed. "Yeah," I whispered. Dad stared at his hands. "And I'm not on the floor." Silence settled between us. Not empty. Full. Then my phone buzzed. A message from the group chat. "I'm coming next month. For real." I set up auto pay for part of their bill. "And Aaron, I'm sorry." I stared at the screen. Not because it fixed everything, but because it finally admitted the truth. They'd been blaming me for doing what they were relieved they didn't have to do. I put my phone away and looked at my parents. My mom reached for my hand. "I thought assisted living meant the end," she said softly. I squeezed her fingers. "It's not the end," I said. "It's the middle. It's the support." My mom nodded slowly. Then she whispered the real fear underneath everything. I just didn't want to disappear. My chest tightened. "You won't," I said. "Not to me." And when I left that night, walking down the clean hallway toward the exit, I passed other families, other adult children, other parents, some laughing, some crying, all of them trying to love someone without losing themselves. Outside, the air was cool, the sky was dark, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a villain. I felt like a daughter who stayed, even when staying looked different than my parents imagined, even when staying meant saying, "I love you, and I won't let pride kill you."